So again, for those of you who just joined, we are waiting for Adam Evans to join us. I can tell you what's on the list. So from the previous meetings, Brian talked about first above ground work, which are trees that have been trimmed or removed, and the electrical transformers. Next topic is the underground work, so storm drains and electrical lines. The basketball court sump pump. We mentioned the break in the city water main and the flood damage and what can be done or won't get done because of that. Parking is a topic, which we have someone already have asked about that. Security, what's happening with security right now. Brian had a list of 5 upcoming improvements, and then utilities. Okay, we are up to 22 participants. Excuse me, 23 now. And it's 7:15. We are still waiting for Adam to join us. 24. Okay, guys, it's after 7:20. I do not want to waste more of your time. I'm going to go ahead and go through our notes so that you guys don't waste all of your evening on this. Okay, so going in the order that I had it, above ground work. Brian reported that 147 trees have been either trimmed or removed. Trimmed meaning thinned so that the wind can blow through them rather than get caught in all the branches of the trees and blow the tree over. 74 palm trees have been, the bottom fronds have been taken off so that they don't fall on people and houses. He's planning to do that again this year and just do a palm tree trimming every 2 years. Brian said there are 22 electrical transformers in the park, and they have now gone through each one of them, cleaning it, doing whatever repairs are needed. So he thinks the electrical transformers are in good shape now. Underground work. So we've had issues with the storm drains. Storm drains have both gotten clogged up and have collapsed. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of maintenance from previous management. So if you're aware of all the stuff that's been going on in El Bosque, where they had the guys out there for, what was it, a week, and the entrance was partially closed off. The reason there was that big dip right at the entrance to El Bosque, the storm drain had collapsed underneath it. Storm drain has collapsed on the other side of some of the houses, and caused a sinkhole that Brian didn't believe at first until he came over and looked at it. There's a bunch of work happening with the storm drains, starting in El Bosque, because evidently that's where it was worst. But there's more work to do in the rest of the park. Electrical. If you remember, we had an electrical outage for all the park at the beginning of the day and again at the end of the day, and much of Los Encinos was out for the entire day. What it was is the main trunk line that dealt with Los Encinos. There's trunk lines for each of the 4 neighborhoods. The one dealing with Los Encinos had problems before, and they had spliced it multiple times, and you're not supposed to do that. So they replaced the entire line for Los Encinos. So electrical is looking better. Basketball court. A basketball court was another pond at one point. In investigating, they found that the sump pump, I don't know what happened. It wasn't working, and they just filled it up with dirt. So Brian said he had his guys dig it all out, rewire it, and that the sump pump now works, and we shouldn't have another pond there in the basketball court. Water and flood damage. If you remember that early Saturday morning that flooded the circle and flooded one section of El Bosque, to the point where the water was going from the skirting on one side of the street to the skirting on the other side of the street. So thankfully, the city, got out there quickly, but it was a 12-inch water main. They say it was like the record size for water main breakage. And it's like, oh, great! What a wonderful record to set. The city did produce a form, but the information we've got from the city attorney's office is that they do not plan on paying for reimbursing for any of the repair work caused by the break in their storm drain, because it would need to be, number one, dangerous and known to them to be dangerous, and that they delayed fixing it. I mean, water mains are all throughout the city, so it's not dangerous, and they didn't know it was going to break. So the city's opinion is they're not liable. You can submit the form, but they're going to say no. So you either keep bugging the city or you hire a lawyer who will bug the city for you. Legally, they might be on solid ground. So the one thing that might work is if we could put pressure on the city to avoid bad publicity. That would be the only way that they would pay. Okay, parking. Yeah, so as I say, this management is like really focused on parking. However, what we have learned over time is that guest parking is limited to 21 days, which is 21 24-hour periods. So a total of 504 hours per year, and it is by vehicle, not by space number. So 504 hours, there's 52 weeks in a year, so that's almost 10 hours a week. You could have someone visit you for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that would fit within the 504 hours. It is by license number. Security. Brian has said that he currently has security coming. They drive through the park. They're supposed to drive through 4 times each night. He has shown Dexter some how they take photographs as they drive through the park, and those photographs are time-stamped. And so he's convinced that they are actually driving through the park. He says they do get reports of them, trying to run vagrants off of the property. He says he does get reports about, if somebody leaves the storage unit door open or something like that. So he said there is security coming through multiple times a night. Okay, upcoming improvements.
Patrick, sorry to interrupt. Back to the parking issue. So, Eli, it is 21 days, but if you have somebody, like you said, coming in and only parking for 2 hours, make sure they deregister, because if not, they'll be charged for the whole day. So register when they get here and then clock out, if you will, after they leave.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was the whole point for my calculating the 504 hours, is that if you don't do anything, okay, number one, if you park in guest parking, make sure you register, because otherwise you're going to get towed. But when you are so you register, you go for your visit. When you are done with your visit, go back to the same parking attendant app and cancel your registration. If you were only there for 2 hours and you cancel, it only uses 2 hours. If you don't cancel, it's going to use a whole 24 hours. And so that time is just going to use up that much more quickly. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, upcoming improvements, street lighting and curbs. Yeah, in terms of curbs, there are plenty of places in the park where the curbs, go like this and water collects, and you have a little pond in front of your front steps. And Brian says, hey, we need to work on all the storm drains and whatnot first before that gets fixed. Street lighting, he does plan to begin working on that, but it's going to be like 4 houses at a time. Along Nicholson Lane, El Bosque runs along Nicholson Lane. The fencing is due to be replaced, and they will be doing that because that is exterior fencing. The fencing in between you and your neighbors, that is your responsibility. So get a quote, talk to your neighbor, see if he'll split the cost with you. But the fencing on the outside perimeter of the park is the responsibility of management. So
Patrick,
that's due to be scheduled.
update.
Uh-huh.
The company that repairs the street lighting actually stopped in today at the office. So they've been given the list.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, Brian is a big proponent of, if you have a problem, call me. So try again if even if you've reported it before, call him again. Say, Brian, the street light at 987 is out, or my driveway is in really bad shape, or whatever it is. Also, just generally, not specifically to these guys, but just generally in life, uh, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And there's a lot of headbutting, and part of it is caused by people coming in and, figuratively pounding on the table. I've lived here 40 years and this has been bad all 40 years. And you know what? They're not going to respond nicely to that. So when you go in there, take a deep breath, swallow your pride and say, I've got this problem. Can you help me with this problem? That approach will get you a much better response from management. Okay, where was I at? Okay, so in the middle of upcoming improvements, security cameras. So they do have plans to put in security cameras starting at the entrance to the park and then looking down toward the clubhouses, Hermitage, Spindrift, El Bosque. I'm told Brian has said that he wants to have security cameras that capture license plate numbers, so that he can follow up on things if there's problems. That's going to happen in multiple phases. HCD violations. Brian said when he arrived, there were like 2,000 violations among the 723 homes. And it's now down to 22. And he is incented to get that down to zero. If you're not aware, HCD can exert pressure not just on you as the homeowner, but also on management. If they think management is being lax about taking care of this stuff, they can, threaten things about their operating permit, and that's their lifeblood. So, yeah, if you've gotten a notice from HCD saying, hey, this thing is still outstanding, I mean, it could be a number of reasons why it's still outstanding. Maybe you don't understand it. I didn't understand mine when I got it. Maybe you're looking at it and saying, I don't think I can afford this. Go to Brian, talk to him, explain the situation. Again, with the attitude of, can you help me? And he might be able to do some wheeling and dealing to get you out from under that. Finally, the pond. If you are not aware, we have a pond/lake/swamp in the middle of Los Encinos. And the way the park was designed is all the storm drains feed into that pond. Well, with all the storm drains coming in and all the stuff that gets into the storm drains, the pond silts up and it's kind of a mess back there. So Brian has been working on talking to engineers about what to do. He has an idea, and we'll see if his idea flies. But nothing's going to happen until it stops raining for the year. Okay, and then utilities. So somebody mentioned meter man. The meter man sometimes wears a vest and sometimes not. And Brian says, no, 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 no. They hire a company to read the meters. So it's either one of Brian's guys, in which case they'll bang on your door and say maintenance, meter reading, or it's a guy with either a hat or a vest that says meter man. Those are the only people who should be reading your meter. Anybody else back there is suspect. They are supposed to read it on or around the 10th of each month. Now, they might do the 9th, they might do the 11th, but those are the days that that you should be reading they should be reading your meter. If you have a question about the accuracy, give the office a call. If you have like a long-standing issue where you don't believe it's accurate, okay, you know now that they read it on the 10th of each month. Go out there, take a picture of your meter, and compare that to the bill when it comes in. Also, people have noticed that their utilities have gone up, and that is due to PG&E. PG&E has gotten one rate increase of 30% approved. They are applying to CPUC, California Public Utilities Commission, for a second rate increase. I mean, they don't call it Pacific Graft and Extortion for nothing. They want lots of money for the electricity and gas that they provide to you. So yeah, we're kind of stuck with that. If the place to complain is not on the Facebook page, not to even park management. The place to complain is CPUC, the California Public Utility Commission. And so if you go onto their website, they should be able to tell you, okay, what rate increases have been asked for, and when are the public hearings about this, and how do you show up? If you're motivated to find out that information, please share it on Facebook so that everyone else who is concerned about the rates that we pay for electricity and gas, we can address it. Okay, so those are all the topics that we covered in our in-person meetings. I'm going to go back to the chat and look at it again from the beginning. Okay, so visitor parking, we said 504 hours. It's by vehicle, and please make sure you check out when you're off. If you have a bad carport, if you have a light that's out, call the office. Make sure you get on the list. Okay, is the city in charge of the road going into the park? So the city is in charge of Nicholson Lane. So up to the point, around the point where we have that three-way intersection where it splits off into El Bosque and then goes up the hill to the circle. Up to that point is the city's responsibility. Beyond that point is the park. Now, Brian did mention, hopefully you've all noticed that with the work that they did at El Bosque, at the entrance to El Bosque, they also put in a speed bump at El Bosque. And there is other repaving work that is scheduled for the rest of that intersection. Brian says, when that work is done, they will also be installing speed bumps. So he says there are going to be a total of 3 speed bumps. As you enter from Nicholson Lane into the intersection, the one that already exists coming out of El Bosque, and then going up and down the hill. There's going to be, and they're all going to look like the one in El Bosque. So that's what's planned. There's no other speed bumps that are planned at the moment. Okay, carport awnings, that is your responsibility as a homeowner. Weeding, again, I couldn't pin Brian down on that. I don't know if they're doing spring inspections. We said meter readers, come on the 10th or maybe the day before or the day after, they should have, if they don't have a vest, then they have a cap, and it should say meter man on it. It's either that or Brian's guys coming by because somebody has called into the office, hey, you know, this can't be right. My electricity bill is $900. Can you come read it again? Okay, releveling. Yeah, that's something about mobile homes. They need to be releveled. What are we going to do about the speeding? Yeah, a lot of us are frustrated about it. And it causes scares, and it's caused, you know, there's pets that have been run over. Again, what Brian is saying is that there will be speed bumps at the three-way intersection, every direction on this three-way intersection. No other speed bumps are planned at the moment. Is there a plan to stop dogs' poops? Yeah, I don't know how they would enforce that. Yeah, if you know your neighbors, if you have a camera and you know who it is that's walking their dog, see if you can recognize them, go over and talk to them politely. Grass area near the mailbox, yeah. So dog owners, clean up after your pets. None of my family can stand guest parking, even if they haven't been here before. So yeah, I would call the office. They would probably want to know, okay, exactly what error message are they getting? I really can't tell you more from that information. But yes, I can tell you the limit is 21 days per year, which is 21 24-hour periods. So 504 hours per year per vehicle. Yeah, I agree it's weird that we have a time limit, but yeah, that's how it is. We get a pond. Yeah, we get a pond. Oh, is there a way to monitor your hours? No. I tried and I asked Brian and he said, no, they haven't turned that feature on. So you can't log in to see how many hours have been used. But again, it's not against your space number. The guest parking hours are charged against the vehicle, which is a huge sea change for me. I don't understand why they do it that way, but I think it gives us more flexibility. Yeah, it's by vehicle, 504 hours. Can we get those speed bumps throughout the park? No plans at the present moment. The Facebook page. Oh, thank you. Somebody already answered in the chat. The WRO serving families of Silicon Valley Village Mobile Home Park since 2020. And there's a picture of that in the chat. Can we get relevel paid by the park, or is that on us? Yeah, no, that's the mobile homes need releveling, and no, the park is not going to pay for that. That's where I say mobile home living is kind of the worst of both worlds. You don't own the land underneath your home, so you pay space rent on that, but you do own the structure that sits on top of it, and you're responsible for all the maintenance. However, even though I say it's the worst of both worlds, it's also really the only affordable option in Silicon Valley. Stop signs that are missing. Okay, if there are, again, I would say call the office and say, hey, would it be possible to get the stop sign replaced at... Okay, new sign for the entrance that says who we are. Yeah, so they took out the sign that said West Winds because the Nicholsons decided to change the name. They didn't ask us about it. And then the sign that they did put up got vandalized. And so it was taken down rather than try and fix it up because, frankly, it wasn't a real popular sign. Compared to the previous sign that said West Winds, it looked kind of tacky. So I don't think it's a high priority, but I'm told that the Nicholsons do plan to replace the sign, that it's supposed to look better than the old sign. But guess what? We're not going to know what it looks like. Even management isn't going to know what it looks like until they install it. and then we'll all find out together. And no date on that. Stop signs missing and repainting the stop lettering on the ground. Okay, so missing stop signs, yeah, call the office now and let them know and make sure it's on the list. Hey, can you help me? The stop sign is missing and people are speeding through. In terms of what the STOP that's painted on the ground before the stop sign, that's going to wait until all of the asphalt work is done, which is going to wait until all of the underground sewer lines and whatever other lines underground need to be worked on. So that's long term. That's not going to happen real quickly. Okay, I think I have gotten down to the end of all the questions in the chat. If there are more questions that I haven't answered, please type them in the chat now. I'm sorry.
The resurfacing of the streets of the asphalt is also going to wait on the curb repairs.
Oh,
And the curb repairs is because of the roots from the trees. So they're going to be taking care of the tree roots first, repairing the curbs second, and then finally getting to the resurfacing of pavement.
So as much as we notice all the cracks and divots in the pavement, they're thinking about it in a very different way than we are. They're thinking about the order that you want to do these things. Because if they did if they spent a lot of work repaving and then they got to dig it up again to work on the underground lines, that doesn't make sense from their perspective. Fencing covering the front yard, is it okay? Call the office because there are fencing regulations. So the fences can be as tall as 6 feet in the back of the house, but as you get closer to the street, how high they can be gets lower and lower. And in fact, I think there's a certain number of feet where the fence isn't supposed to be there at all. I don't know. But there are regulations. Call the office and ask them. Permits are still needed for additions for car or side awning. I don't know if that's a park regulation or if that's an HCD regulation. I know when HCD was here last, they talked about, hey, these people did stuff, and when we see that, we're going to ask them, okay, show me your permit. So I would call the office and say, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. Do I need a permit for that? Okay, that is all of the questions in the chat. I don't see any more coming in. So in half an hour, I covered what we took an hour and a quarter to cover in all of the in-person meetings. Again, my apologies. We had invited Adam and he knew it was tonight. I'm not sure why he wasn't able to make it, but he did not. So I hope that you found this, at least it made the evening so it wasn't a complete waste of time. Again, if you haven't joined WRO, please consider joining. The membership application form is on our website. Sign it, take a picture of it, send that picture to westwindsresidents@gmail.com. If you're not on the Facebook page, subscribe to the Facebook page. That's our main communication tool. And so the Facebook page is WRO. Search on WRO. It might not show up under West Winds because we're not labeled West Winds anymore. Okay, and thank you all for attending. This is great. 24 people. Love it. I will say meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.